Hello and happy Friday, and thanks for tuning into RadioFreeRhinecliff.org and this show in particular. Correct me if I'm Norm. I'm your host, Norm, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight with the artist known as Ransom. Ransom, thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
I'm going to start right out. You said we didn't have enough time to talk about this, but you've had an amazing career as an illustrator, mostly of children's books, but also other things, under the name James Ransom. And you're known, and you have all the awards in that name. And then a number of years ago, you started a separate career because you needed more jobs. And you used the name Ransom.
I don't know who that James guy is. Who are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm Ransom. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, that's good.
Nice to meet you.
And all right, then why the lowercase r, Ransom?
Bell hooks, just sort of ripping her off.
Okay.
She used the lowercase and all her entire name in Bell and Hook. And so I sort of adopted from that.
Right.
Someone, actually, I had never thought about it before until someone said, is it lowercase? Like bell hooks? I go, yeah, it is.
Good answer.
so that's where it started.
I love that. I love the opportunistic little tinge there. It's like, oh, sure, like bell hooks. Exactly. And you're here today, and we have more artists coming in because you curated a show at the Dorsky Museum. Is it every year or every other year?
Every year.
They have the Hudson Valley Artists Show.
Absolutely.
And presumably they asked you at some point to be this year's curator.
Sure. I had actually sent in a proposal for an exhibit, and they turned that down. They completely slammed it. They said, well, would you like to curate our annual show? Which is another surprise because usually curators curate that show. And I'm like, well, I'm just an artist, and you want me? They said, yeah, we want you to do it. I said, okay. And so we took sort of the theme that I had proposed to them and said, this could be a good theme for a, Hudson Valley show. So that's how it happened.
Was the theme movement?
Movement, yeah. It was about the Great Migration, which is my work is about.
Okay. And so in this show that you proposed to them, movement, you had different artists. I assume you had...
Well, so we come up with this sort of premise of what we want the show to be about. And like most people, I assumed the show would be paintings and things about people migrating and moving to different places, especially since, it's such a hot button topic in the news. You're going to see people crossing the border, stuff like that. But it's almost the opposite of what we received. We received almost no pictures like that. And it was, truly exciting to see how artists expanded movement. And you did a great job.
Oh, well, thank you so much. But back it up. So you had proposed movement. And they said, well, no, we don't want to put that on, but you could be the guest curator of the Hudson Valley Artists on that theme.
Yeah.
And it's an open call.
Oh, absolutely.
And so the open call means that artists, is it like a 50-mile radius or 100-mile or just?
Yeah, it's something like that. It's like 4 counties.
Okay.
In the call.
Artists from around here in Hudson Valley are welcome to submit a piece or a couple of pieces.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so now you're a fresh curator.
Yeah.
You'd never done it before?
Not to this level. I've done some small shows.
Right.
When I graduated from grad school, I put together a show of myself and some friends and a lot of the faculty from my grad program, and a lot of people who graduated with me in that program. And then I also did something for Mid-Hudson. I did a call where I judged art for them. That was I think that was for an organization in Hudson. Kingston. I did an exhibit for them, which I was a judge.
Right.
But nothing on this level.
Right. And judge is not the same as being like, here's my curatorial concept. Movement.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. You're correct. You're absolutely correct about that. Yeah.
And so how did this concept come to you?
Well, it's part of my artistic practice. I'm really involved in the Great Migration. This whole idea to me of people leaving their homes to take a chance to go somewhere else to better their lives.
Right.
I just find it fascinating.
Right.
And immigrants coming to this country, people coming from the South, during the Great Migration, people coming across the border now, they're trying to get to this country to better their lives. And coming here changes their life. Absolutely.
Right.
But what are they leaving behind? Family, friends, everything they ever known to take this chance. I just think is, I don't know if I could do it. When I
Right.
think about it. And de Kooning, he jumped on a boat and came to America, and he didn't know where he was sort of going in America. He landed and,
Right.
and became, and became a successful artist. And so my question is, what was his family doing when he was on the boat? Because he wasn't calling them up on his cell phone going, "Hey, I'm going to America on a boat."
Right.
He didn't come home for dinner a number of nights. Is he alive? Is he dead? Did someone kidnap him?
Right.
So all those things are I find very interesting. The people who just sort of leave and don't tell anyone, but even the people who do tell family, how difficult that must be to
Right.
start over again.
And you moved north at some point. You're from one of the
Yes.
Carolinas?
Yeah, North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah. It was a little different. I came with family was already here.
Right.
I lived with my grandmother. I had cousins. I come up to summers. I lived here for a short time as a child.
Okay.
So it was a little different for me. I was actually going to join family members. I had less family members in North Carolina than I did in New Jersey and New York.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, for many people, for the first world people here in the U.S., I mean, you've got cell phones and, social media.
Yeah.
And it's not like the thing you described with de Kooning, where his family's like, what the hell happened to him?
Exactly. Yeah.
And even if he did write a letter, it wouldn't get there for months.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So were you interested in a particular era of?
Well, no, it was wide open. I really wanted artists to sort of, put their stamp on what they thought about migration or movement.
Right.
I knew we would also get some images of basic movement. Someone moving from here to there, or just walking and things like that.
Right.
But it was completely open, but I was happily surprised to see how artists took it even further than I ever imagined.
Right.
And so if you come out to see the show, you're going to see some just amazing works of art about movement from different perspectives.
And the show opens tomorrow at 4 p.m. at the Dorsky Museum
Exactly.
on the campus of SUNY New Paltz.
Yes.
And it's the Dorsky, and type
Samuel
that into
Dorsky,
Google
yeah.
Maps.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be an amazing show.
Yeah.
So you said you've never carried anything this size.
No.
What were some of the challenges of?
But they wanted my opinion on where to place things. Me? Sure. It was
So you've got helpers. You're like, I want to hang it like this.
exactly. Yeah.
And did you hang it to tell a particular story or follow a wave? Or?
No, we didn't do that. It's just, you want to make sure you bring certain pieces together to sort of make it an interesting show when you first come in. For example, I have lots of favorites, but one piece that stands out in particular is this glass house. So you walk into the entrance, the first thing you're going to see is this 9-foot tall, 10-foot long glass house.
Oh, I love it already.
With photographic images in the glass of people, and it is lit from the bottom. It's really, really an amazing piece.
That sounds stunning.
It's in the middle of the gallery space.
Do you remember the name of the artist?
Jill, I'm not going to remember her last name.
Yeah, I've got the list here somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I almost didn't ask because there's so many artists.
Yeah,
and I know I wouldn't remember anybody's name.
Thank you.
It just wouldn't. But now I'm looking at the list. Jill, and it was Jill Enfield.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was thinking of your last name. Yes. Yeah.
So hanging it is it a new experience for you?
Yeah. I work with the curator. Sophie was really there holding my hand throughout the entire thing. She works at the Dorsky, and I had the pieces in mind. And I said, well, we want to have something at the end that pull people in, and we want to have the videos here. We have 3 video installations
cool.
in the exhibit. 2 are across from each other. One has its own room because it's projection mapping. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's really I saw this at a gallery in Kingston, and I was hoping she would enter, and she did. It's just an amazing piece. So she has this enclosed room.
So cool.
Yeah.
So the call goes out and people submit. I submitted.
Yeah.
And was lucky enough to get chosen. Yeah, but you know what people sort of submitted, but then they're like, okay, you've been chosen, bring your piece in on this date.
Sure.
When all these pieces are trickling in.
Yeah, yeah.
Where you must have been like surprised and maybe sometimes disappointed.
Well, sometimes, mostly surprised. I was really happy. It comes in over a period of time, and some people need a little more time than others to bring their works in. And then the installations are a little special as well. But yeah, it was a pleasure. It was also a pleasure to receive emails from people who had never gotten in before, and them thanking me for selecting their work. I wanted to thank them for submitting their work, because that's what really got them in the show. Sometimes I had to choose between pieces. Sometimes there were, it would be 4 or 5 pieces someone submitted, and I had to say, well, it's this one that we would like to, hey. We had to be, aware of the size of the pieces. It's only X amount of space in the gallery, although it's a very large gallery, from my opinion. So all those things we had to consider while with the work that came in.
Right. And how many submissions do you get for something like this?
We had 350 submissions, or maybe a little over 350 submissions.
It's amazing.
I think 37 people were selected.
Okay.
Yeah.
It seems about right. I'm just sort of like counting the list of people here. So about 10% got in. That's not terrible. Not terrible odds. And did you get any submissions from people you're like, wait a minute, you live in Texas. That's not in the Hudson Valley.
No, I didn't. I did look at some of them, but it was also a pleasure reading, what they wrote about their works. And I really tried to sort of stop, because, my life is often crazy, and just take time to read what the work was about. Because sometimes, and one person told me they had never gotten this show, and I was shocked to hear they had never gotten the show. And I think it was because maybe the curators are not stopping and reading what the work is about.
Right.
They just sort of see the visual and go, no, that doesn't work for me. And I really wanted to stop, because sometimes the most powerful piece could be just a line. There's actually one piece that, when you look at it, it's just letters look like glued on a canvas, but those are all painted. Every word was painted, and the pieces of paper were painted as well. They're not collaged, and it's something that would have completely gone over my head if I hadn't read what they were saying, because it looked like a collage on a canvas.
So the trompe l'oeil effect really worked on you. And then you looked again and you're like, holy crap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting thing. I always think about that. I always want to look at the piece first.
Yeah.
Because that's how they're meant to be experienced.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then read the wall text.
Yeah.
And more often than not, like the experience you just described, the wall text really enriches the experience.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And I always think like, well, I want the experience to be pure. I don't want to have to read the wall text.
I've been there before also.
And yet my experience is almost always better for doing that. Yeah. So it's an interesting conundrum.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, but because I just finished reading a book about art, and I'm not going to remember the name of the title of the book. And the writer talks about stopping and looking longer and then reading the text last.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what I did with this show. And it was probably influenced by that book I read.
Well, God bless you. And when you're looking at slides. I mean, people send in JPEGs.
Yeah.
I think that's what the call
sure,
for. Send us your JPEGs.
Yeah.
And did they send the Dorsky send them to you and you looked at them at home on your computer?
Yeah, there's a program that you can look. We can see them together to see.
Right.
Them. Yeah.
Yes.
And over a time period, I looked at them. So at first, when they first start coming in, you can see them. So I'm glancing from time to time, and then it's okay. Now it's time to judge. Everything's in, and I go through and I sort of have a little list. And I go, okay, all right. Then I come back to it later, and I look again, and then I think the third time. Probably between the second and third time, I'm starting to weave out some pieces, and then I stop and I go, okay, this is a thorough look through and read,
right,
and really read and digest what these artists are doing.
So the first couple of times you're looking,
it's
and
visual.
Then you got to weed out some, it's a lot, and then you start looking and reading.
It was very difficult to weed out. I'll be honest with you. There are a lot of strong pieces, and we had to get the numbers down just to fit into the space.
Right. And it's a big space.
It's a big space, but we had a lot of pieces. and a lot of large pieces also. There's the great variety as well, from some very large pieces to some very small. I think the smallest is probably 7 by 7 inches.
Okay.
And there's one piece that's actually 8.5 by 11, so it's like a sheet of paper.
Oh, nice.
And then you have pieces that are probably 50 by 60 or 60 by 70.
Right.
There's one piece of that large.
Now, every year, I believe it's the tradition for this show, they purchase one piece for the
Yes.
permanent collection of the Dorsky.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, I think that piece was yours.
Mm-hmm.
First off, congratulations.
Thank you.
And secondly, so you
Another
were
shot.
familiar with the process from the other side. I'm guessing.
Yes.
You saw that call a couple of years ago. And you're like, oh, I'll send them my stuff.
Yeah.
Send them my JPEGs.
Yeah.
So it's neat that you know this from both sides.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I suspect that lots of professional curators maybe haven't been artists
Sure.
aspiring to get in shows like this.
Yeah. It was absolutely a wonderful experience. It was one of my first submissions into a call like that, and it was really special to be selected and then to be chosen at my piece. It was also used as a poster and then be purchased for the collection, and it's now part of a permanent collection they keep up in the gallery. So I feel so fortunate, and that was a great. It was a momentum for me. To hang in and keep going, and to push. So that was really exciting.
Yeah, I remember I saw you at that show, and
you were in that show too.
and I was like, oh, this guy's got so much momentum going, and now it's brought you here, and we're thrilled to have another guest here, Joanne Gelb, talking about you, Miss, who you selected to be in the show.
Yes.
Do you remember seeing her slides or JPEG?
I do, absolutely. Yeah. What's great is I met Joanne in a workshop that I taught. Was it last year or year before last?
2 years
2 years
ago,
ago?
maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was so happy she submitted,
Yeah.
and her piece was absolutely perfect for the show.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
For the theme of movement.
Theme of movement, yeah.
Joanne, two
But-
things. When you talk to each other, still look straight into the microphone. Sorry, you were going to say.
But I still contacted Ransom because I knew him from a workshop to ask him, was he sure he didn't make a mistake by accepting my piece?
Okay, I love that so much. And that just brings up this whole question of like imposter syndrome, which I think most artists have a little bit. And so you contact him, you're like, well, wait, I got this thing saying you want me in the show, but are you sure?
Exactly.
And do you remember what you said? The details of that?
I was very nervous, actually, to call or bother him.
Right.
But, it just all seemed so ridiculous for me to be accepted that I finally had to, and I kind of eased my way around it and said, was this a mistake? Are you sure this comes in? But the imposter syndrome, especially when you're not professionally trained.
Right. And you didn't go to art school somewhere.
Nope.
And
Nope.
you've only been making art for like 7 or 8 years or whatever.
Yes. And go ahead.
To me, that's what's so wonderful about this show. What I especially wanted this
Right.
show to have that type of range, I'm a big fan of outsiders, the person who sort of paints a piece of wood from off of his old barn, and because of some reason, and it's not for money, it's not for fame, it's just because they feel a need to make art.
Right.
I love that, and I was happy that her piece worked for the show, and it could be exhibited and could hang next to other people like myself.
And what was your piece, Joanne?
I remember it was called Making a Decision because with movement, with having, this is the way my brain goes in all kinds of, it's pen and ink and then a little bit of collage.
Uh-huh.
But making a decision, I think, is maybe the first step to committing, whether you're talking about having to leave where you are or even to submit for a gallery.
Right.
You have to make that decision,
Right.
which I usually don't.
What do you mean you usually don't?
You know, I'm really loving making art. And I did start taking lots of classes and workshops, and I love them all. Woodstock School of Art, Betsy Jackarusso, and we turned my garage into a studio. But I would get involved in this, and I say, oh, I love this collage, and I get everything, and I've got piles of paper. Now I want to move on. Now I'm doing this thing, and I get all the supplies. So my latest, which is an expensive endeavor, is encaustic.
Uh-huh.
So-
and for people who might not know, can you describe what that is?
Encaustic is working with wax. You can transfer. For instance, the latest thing I did was you print out a piece of art or a photograph, and it gets printed on rice paper, and you use wax and you put it on an encaustic board or panel, and you just layer and layer until it feels right.
It's like a stick of paint that you're working with.
Well, along with encaustics, which are all from R&F, but now they're at Woodstock School of Art, you have oil sticks. So you can do texture things. You can deepen it with oil paint on top. I just think that this is something, if I just don't keep pushing myself in a million directions and I stick to this one thing, I think it could be pretty good.
Oh, that's good. Well, I can't wait to see that. But the piece in the show is not encaustic.
No, I've moved on a little bit.
Right.
And I have work usually in the Tivoli Artist Gallery.
Uh-huh.
I participate in the Studio Art View on Labor Day weekend.
Which is amazing, which is where I saw your art.
Yes.
And I sort of knew you around town, and then stopped in a few years ago and saw in your garage, as
Right.
you mentioned, packed with art, some which was so gorgeous. And it's such a treat to meet somebody and then see their stuff, be like, oh, I really love this.
I have seen better coming out of me as I learn, and I've had terrific teachers. Thank you, Ransom.
You're welcome.
But it's a lot to take in. It's a lot. And you were saying something about you like people that make it because that's what they feel rather than
Yeah.
selling.
Yeah.
I guess I would have to say that because I still haven't figured out selling and social media and all the business side of art, which is, I think, ugly.
Well, okay, Ransom, you're the teacher. Where could an artist go to learn the business end of art?
Well, probably not gonna like my answer, but I think it's innate. When you think about it, there are books on it, but also talking to the artists. But the idea is, if you want to sell something first, you have to show it. People have to have the opportunity to see it, right? So that means a gallery. Then there are different types of galleries. Collectors are the people that really keep all. They're the glue that sort of make all this sort of work. So you want to get to galleries that have collectors attend their events, and those are the higher galleries. So it's just about a matter of being around. And I personally think, I know this is hard, and some people, I can hear my wife in my ear right now.
Oh, good.
But, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to make mistakes. That's all part of the learning. And sometimes you have to go through that in order to really learn. If it was written on a piece of paper and everyone would have a copy and then everything just be perfect, and that's not the way life is. You'll try a gallery. Oh, the gallery person doesn't pay you. Oh, now I know next time I have to maybe get things in writing. I maybe want to say this first. I want to be a little more conscious. I want to check up on things. And then the next time you do better the next time. And then you do better the next time, do better the next time, do better the next time. What I've learned is all this is has prepared me for the higher level galleries. And so when you go to the higher level galleries, you're prepared to work with them because you've dealt with the lower galleries. And it's all part of the process. And you have great stories to tell as well.
People know I go out with pockets and scissors because I am constantly collecting things. I have so many flowers I have been drawing for so long There's just no room in my studio anymore. So I may have to have a fire sale.
Because of all the ephemeral, the natural objects you collect.
Yeah.
There's a flower in that piece of Dorsky.
Yes, there is. There is.
Tell us about that, Joanne.
Well, along with the pen and ink, which is white on black,
Uh-huh. What kind of pen do you use to paint white?
I think it was a Sakura.
Uh-huh.
And it's you want to make sure that you have a pen that does not blot at all, is clear and firm. And I keep buying different pens and trying them, but that one I got down.
Nice.
So there weren't, any false moves there.
Right.
And then I had this one piece of a flower. I think I dyed. I dyed it. Right.
Wow.
And I decided there's beauty in this madness of trying to make a decision.
Right.
So I put the flower on there. I think it's funny that as I put it on there, it kind of broke. So it's like this now, which is the way
L-shaped.
decisions go also.
Right.
It's not a straight path.
So
Yeah.
So what it looks like is if that red flower was about to go through a maze, and that's sort of the part that
Oh, I
impressed
love
me
that.
about the idea. It's like a movement going through that maze. And that's-
Especially in light of what you were talking about, of making a decision.
yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Huh. So when you were making this piece of art, are you sort of learning what it's about while you're making it?
You mean the meaning behind it, what it means?
Yeah. I mean, if
You know-
anything, or
Sorry. I have a lot of trouble naming pieces, and I know all the things people write about their pieces and this and that. I got to get better at that.
Sure.
I mean, I have a meaning in my head, but it's not like I don't write a whole page about it or something.
right. So when we come to the show, Ransom,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you asked the artist to write a little something, what the work's
Sure,
about.
sure, yeah.
Will there be wall text next to each
There-
piece?
There will be wall text, but there are 6 pieces that I wrote special things about.
Oh.
From my perspective and what I saw and what interests me about their pieces. Their text is not in the show. Just basically, the medium, their names, things like that. But not that what they wrote about their piece is not in the show.
Oh, okay.
At least I don't recall.
Did you write about mine? Because I don't remember writing about mine.
Well, when's the last time you saw the show? When's the last time you were in the space, Ransom?
Well, I actually was there today.
You were there today.
Yeah. I've been away. I'm doing a Yaddo residency, and so
Oh, right.
I snuck away this weekend for the opening and for this interview. So I stopped by the day on my way home from Saratoga Springs. So I went in just to see everything hung, really, because
Right.
this is the first time I'm seeing everything up in place. And it was a quick walkthrough. But there are some pieces with some information about the text. One of my guests, Frank Palaia, his piece I wrote about.
Okay.
And that has text, special text. Yeah,
And speaking of Frank Palaia, Joanne Gelb, thanks for being here.
Thanks for
We've
having
got
me.
Frank Palaia in the wings coming in, who also, Frank, come on in, kindly accepted the invitation to be here with Ransom. Hey, Frank, welcome. Have a seat.
Thanks.
Yeah. So Ransom was just telling that there were a handful of pieces in this show that he was moved to write about on his own. Yours was one of them.
Oh,
Did you know that?
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, now you do.
surprised.
Where is it? Where did you write it?
It's a little plaque
Thanks,
next to your.
Joanne.
Oh, a
your-
plaque.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
next
yes.
to the piece.
Yes,
Oh,
next to the piece,
great.
yeah,
Well,
in the museum, in the gallery.
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
Oh, you're
Okay.
welcome.
Oh, so that's nice. So there's expanded wall text next to your piece, Frank. And I'll ask Ransom while Frank's taking off his coat. What about his piece intrigued you or was evocative?
Well, what's great about Frank's piece is it's a sculpture, and it's a sculpture that stands alone in the middle of space.
Uh-huh.
And literally, when I walked in, seeing his piece, where it was standing, where it was standing, it was like almost like the perfect location for the piece.
Uh-huh.
And so that's we sort of said that's it. That's where it's going to stay. But So imagine a sculpture on wheels,
Right.
which is just clever. But your piece is about Berlin Wall, like graffiti.
Not that particular piece.
Okay,
I
that's-
have done Berlin Wall simulations, but not that one.
Okay, tell us
Yeah.
about it. You
Yeah.
know
About,
better than
about the piece?
Yeah, sure.
Well, you know how you have stuff in the studio that just sort of hangs around.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had all these crates hanging around, these metal wooden boxes, and thinking, I like stacking things, so I started stacking them up. Then I had a chunk of styrofoam that I was meaning to do something with, and I stuck it on top. It was just sort of an organic combination
yeah.
of assembly. Yeah. And then it didn't have wheels for a while. I said, it needs something. And then I'm looking around, looking in the back room. Oh, the wheels that I've been saving for 28 years. Finally, I'm going to use those wheels.
Yeah.
So I put the wheels on, and that was it.
Yeah.
And
Oh, and then one other thing. Then I put a leash on it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
because you
yes,
have
yes.
to pull it, and then you,
But for those people
Yeah.
who know Robert Rauschenberg's work, his combines, that's what it's sort of related to me.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
his combines.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's one of my all-time great influences over the years.
I could tell by looking at
Yeah,
that
yeah,
piece.
yeah.
He's one of mine as well.
Yeah, well, because I love the way he uses found objects. They're so incongruent. Somehow he makes them work. And I've been using found objects for 40 years or so, and I love found objects because they give me they inspire me to make something using those materials.
Sure,
Which,
yeah.
if you didn't have those things, you wouldn't come up with that idea. It's
Yeah,
just it's like a seed.
Yeah, you can't go out and search for those things. You'll never find
No.
pieces. Yeah.
But I have stuff that I've kept for decades,
Yeah.
and finally I use them.
Yeah, that's great.
it's it's a terrible thing.
It is
because it
terrible.
just it encourages you to be a pack rat.
My wife hates it.
You the decade later you're like, oh, that piece I've saved for
Yeah.
20 years, I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, see, I never need to throw out anything.
Right.
Are you that same way, Ransom? Oh,
Yes
see,
and no.
Frank I'm going to shame Frank for coming
Yeah,
with his
sorry,
cell phone ringer on.
Yes and no. I'm not really much of a pack rat. I sort of work on projects, but I don't collect things. I don't sort of rummage through trash cans and pick things up off the street. And I'm more of a painter. So my work sort of revolves, even when I do three-dimensional work, it still revolves around painting. So it's usually something that a painting is going to sort of be a part of. I don't...
But you lose pieces of fabric or wallpaper or whatever. In
I
your
do. I
paintings.
have lots of paper. Again, people have given me things. I have stacks of paper around, but not. I don't have wheels in my studio. I don't have.
Right.
I have a wooden box, but not. Not like Frank has. It's
Right.
completely different.
Have you been to Frank's studio?
I have been to Frank's studio. Frank and I have known each other for
Like
30.
wow,
almost 30 years.
25 years.
Something like that, yeah,
We
yeah.
were
Wow.
at the Barrett Art Center
Yeah,
So
together.
now I've got to ask then, when you get the submissions and the slides, is there a name with them?
Yes.
Oh, there is.
And
So you're seeing these images and a name.
yes. And I'm scared.
Why are you scared?
What if I don't like the piece?
Right. But
I know the person.
Well, they don't know that you know.
But
Well, they
most-
do know. They know I'm the juror, and the person submitted.
Well, no, sometimes there's no names, but
But they knew my name. My name was a big and rolling this from the very beginning. Ransom call for art,
Right. And Joanne Gelb said she called you and said, are you sure you really want me?
yeah,
Did
yeah.
anybody call and say, were you sure you don't want me? What the heck?
I had to talk a friend into submitting. That we would casually talk. I said, I'm curating the show at the Dorsky. Oh, da, da, da. I said, you're going to submit, right? Oh, no, I don't have it. I said, you're going to be kidding me. You got to submit. It's just,
Who's this? Certain people?
Audrey.
Oh, Audrey Francis. You had to twist her arm to submit.
And look, she's a poster now. They use her work for the poster.
Her work, her painting is so
Interesting
gorgeous.
painting, Yeah.
It's like perfect.
Yeah.
She didn't think it was, because again, she's thinking, I shouldn't speak for her. I apologize.
I'll
Audrey.
speak for her.
Okay. I think she was thinking immigration, migration, people walking across a border, that type of thing. And I went to a site after we had this conversation. I go, No, Audrey, you got tons of pieces you can submit here. And
Right.
she submitted maybe 6 pieces or 5, whatever. And it was hard to choose the one because you're absolutely right. So many beautiful works of art.
Right.
Yeah.
I just love Audrey's
Yeah.
art,
Yeah.
and I hope she's listening.
Yes, so do
because I
I.
begged her. I begged her to come in and talk with us.
I should have talked to her.
I like the themes this year.
good.
Sometimes the themes are kind of obscure and
Yeah.
esoteric, but this one I liked.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
and I looked at the theme in a different way, not migration so
Yeah,
much, but like actually moving things like cars. I submitted a lot of car stuff, car hoods, and
And that's what we wanted. That's
Yeah.
exactly what we wanted. We
But
wanted-
your piece, and thank you for bringing in a picture of it, Frank,
Yeah,
which is called "Rolling Totem with Leash."
Yeah.
On the wheels, as you described. I mean, it seems really on the migration, immigration aspect of the show.
well, I mean,
Like, all right, good.
well, the leash part maybe, I mean,
Well, and the
they're
wheels.
dragging their kids,
And I love.
across
I mean,
the
it's sort
border.
of idea of another idea, which is art can be relocated, so we can bring the art to you. You don't
Oh,
have to
there
go
you
to the
go.
art. We can move the art to different places.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like most art, goes on the wall and is stationary. Here, this art can be sort of
Yeah.
put here,
Yeah.
put there.
Art to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, it looks like a gorgeous piece, Frank.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to ask Ransom, how many, you had a particular idea of what movement meant when you set that up as the theme
I
of the
did,
show.
yeah.
What percentage of the final art you chose really reflects your original conception of the theme?
2%.
Right.
Yeah, that idea went out the window. Once I started looking at the images coming in, that went out, and I was so happy
Right.
that it was that these artists, these wonderful creative artists, people were expanding this idea of movement, and it wasn't my idea of movement. It was
Right.
it became their idea, and again, you also did a great 4 pieces all about things that moved people,
Right.
which I thought was probably the most clever idea of all.
Right.
It is, and what a better definition of movement than the fact that millions of people are moved by the 4 subjects you chose.
Right.
Do,
and some people sort of, and this was not really my thought of it, but some people in the way that you originally conceived of movement. Some people like right now, people are like, I need to move out of this country.
Sure, yeah.
Because of racism or homophobia
Yes.
or whatever.
Yes, Roe versus Wade.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is another interesting thing. I mean, just the different ways that art is perceived based upon its venue, where it is.
But isn't that what artists do? It makes us think. Artists are supposed to make us think.
Hopefully.
We may come in with this one idea, and they expand us. And that's what I think is so wonderful about this show. How I know I was expanded and opened up and saw many things that I did not expect.
Right.
And there are many other pieces in this show that's doing that. And that's what artists do in general. And that's what's so great about artists and being around artists and going to shows. And when the best thing about going to a show at a museum is no one's asking you to buy anything. All they ask you to do is come and look and enjoy,
Right.
and expand your mind.
So the work in the show is not for sale.
If you really want to buy something, it can be purchased, I'm sure.
But there's no- there's no price
tag.
list.
There's
Right.
no one going to come up behind you and go, "Can I help you with that? Don't you want to take that home?" You can pay for it on time. None of that stuff. It's completely there for you to enjoy. Any way you like, as long as you don't touch the piece or try to move the piece.
Although the museum usually buys a piece or
Yes.
sometimes 2 pieces from each show.
Yes, they
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
so-
We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But there's no pressure on anyone. I mean, you can come and see the show.
right.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say again, opens tomorrow at the Dorsky Museum at SUNY New Paltz at 4 p.m. Curated by Rhinebeck's own Ransom.
Yes.
And we got Rhinebeck's Joanne Gelb was here. Now Rhinebeck's Franc Palaia, who I always say is the hardest working artist in the Hudson Valley. And not ironically, it's like, Frank, you're always doing something. It's
Well,
inspiring.
I hope so. I mean,
shaming,
you only
depending.
go around once, so I figured I'll rest when I'm dead, and while I'm on 2 feet. I just, I like to keep going.
Right.
I like to keep going.
And what's next for you? Actually, let me say, I just saw a piece I really, really loved. It was, it was a bomb falling out of the air.
yeah.
It was a powerful piece.
Yeah. I've been really upset with the Gaza situation.
Right.
I was thinking, 50,000 dead Palestinians, and I was comparing that to give it some context. It's equivalent to the populations of Poughkeepsie and Kingston.
Egads.
You put those, can you imagine?
Wow.
Everybody in those two cities dead. Yeah, so anyway, I made this. In fact, I was on the Faster radio show a couple weeks ago, Fred Nagel's show. I don't know if you know Fred. He has a
But I wish you wouldn't bring up other radio shows.
well, it's called Class Wars, and he saw my Gaza bomb piece and invited me on to talk about it. And it's I'm going to have it. It's going to be a centerpiece of. I have a 20-year survey exhibition coming up in May.
Oh, nice.
At the Garner Arts Center.
Where is that?
It's in Haverstraw, New York.
Okay.
It's a little south of here, about 2 hours south. It's a little north of Nyack on the other side of the river, Haverstraw.
But what, and why, sorry, go on.
And the Garner Arts Center is a fantastic space, 3,000 square feet of gallery space. I'm going to have like maybe 60 works.
Wonderful.
In the show, and I'm making a catalog and so
nice.
forth. Yeah.
And why 20 years? I mean, because you've been making art longer than that,
Well, because
right?
it's such an enormous space, and I figured I would take advantage of the scale of it.
Why not 35 years?
Well, I have work that's even a little older in this show, but I cut it at 20, just so it's not, usually a survey show is 10, 20 years, and a retrospective is like 30.
Oh, I see.
40 years. So
I'm
it's,
not sure I knew that.
usually that is.
See how you learn things?
Yeah.
So that's my.
Well, Frank's got more experience than all of us put
thinking of it,
together.
So I figured 20 years is good enough.
Well, hats off to you. That sounds like a really wonderful thing.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
And did you have a curator help you choose the work for the show?
It's a solo show, so I pretty much put in what I want to put in.
Right.
Yeah. And I've got paintings, sculptures, photographs, books, tabletop sculpture, big sculpture, frescoes, you name it.
Right. And as you're pulling it together, pulling old art out of the archives, were you surprised to revisit some of the old pieces? Oh wow, this is really
a little bit. I'm putting in pieces that I have never shown before, or maybe shown only once, 10 years ago, and no one remembers it, or no one has seen it. So it's a mix of newish works and oldish works.
Right.
But they all kind of relate.
And just share with the listeners your website.
It's my name, frankpalaia.com, Frank with a C, and it's PALAIA.com.
frankpalaia.com.
Yeah.
And I've been there. It's a great site.
Thanks.
There's a gajillion pieces of art.
And I just finished making a 15-minute video.
Oh, nice.
Me and my friend who did the video. I did the production and the selections. It's like 50 years of my artwork
Wow.
in 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'll send it to both.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Is that
And it's-
is that on social media somewhere?
I just finished it a few days ago. I'm gonna post it, and I've been sending it out to some curators and museums, and it's going to be running during my show at the Garner Arts Center. During the show, it's on a loop on a big flat screen. So
Oh, what fun.
So, yeah, it's got music. It's got my band music in it. It's got everything. It's got.
You play an instrument?
Yeah, I'm a drummer.
Okay.
Yeah,
I probably knew that, right?
For about 50 years, I've been drumming. Yeah, almost as long as I've been making art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just amazing. So have you been in this Dorsky show before, the Hudson Valley Artists?
Yes, I've been in the Dorsky maybe 5 times.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Record holder.
Different.
Yeah, maybe so.
Different shows. Different. Few of the annual Hudson Valley shows, and then a couple of. There was one show many years ago about recycled artwork. So I was in that show. Another one was about pollution and the environment. So I have work that fits everything.
No, you really do. Mildly familiar with your work. You
Yes.
were kind enough to welcome a group of school kids and me into your studio a few years ago,
Yeah.
which was amazing and so inspiring for the kids. But you have work on like every topic. Do you when you look at all of it, you say, oh, look, most of it is environmental or most of it is political? Is there one theme that you find most of your work is about?
I have a pretty good amount of it is political, but it's mostly about the urban environment. I kind of recreate these urban wall fragments that look like they're ripped out of a building, but they're completely fake, fabricated from scratch. And so, and I like to absorb the visuals that you get when you walk into a city, because there's all kinds of crazy stuff on the walls these days, and I get inspired by what's on the walls, because I have a saying: walls are the drop cloths of a society. And so,
I like that saying.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pithy.
Yeah.
Because what's happening in the country, you see it. You know that phrase, the writing's on the wall?
Sure.
It's like it literally is, And so I travel a lot. I photograph walls, urban walls. And then I select the ones that I like the best, and then I kind of fabricate them.
And where are the best walls to be found here in this?
Well, these
little
days,
planet of ours?
years ago, there wasn't a lot of street art or murals. But now just about every city, even small cities, have lots of street art, murals, graffiti, but not that ugly kind of graffiti. It's just kind of vandalism kind of thing. But and then a lot of
Philadelphia has a
political.
great.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, has some great.
3,000. They have
Yeah.
3,000 murals.
Yeah.
Who?
Philadelphia.
Philly.
Philadelphia.
3,000 murals.
3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've their public art program
They've been doing
is
it
just amazing.
since 1982 or something. They have ribbon cuttings for murals every 3 or 4 days,
Yeah.
and all year round, not just
Yeah.
in the summer. They're
And
just constantly making.
you do a bunch of murals. I mean,
Yes,
you're,
yeah,
you're the
I-
official muralist at Hyde Park, I think.
Well, I have one in Hyde Park. I have more in Poughkeepsie. I have about 7 or 8 in Poughkeepsie.
You just have one in Hyde Park somehow?
Yeah, that's all they want. I approached them to paint another mural, and they said, "Oh no, we already have a mural in Hyde Park. We don't need any more." So, yeah, they're a little
They're lost.
little different. But yeah, I have maybe 25 murals in Dutchess County, Ulster County.
And do you enjoy the variety of media, or is there one you particularly enjoy?
Well, I like murals actually the best, probably because they're part of the actual environment. They're not just a little painting on a wall that you have a
Right.
show in a gallery and maybe 200 people see it and that's it. It's down, it's gone. But a mural is there for decades,
Right.
20, 30 years. I have some murals in Poughkeepsie that are 25 years old.
And they're still holding up? Do you have to
Yeah.
go tend to them?
I treat them when I finish them. I coat them with 2 things. It's a fade retardant, and then a graffiti guard, which is kind of a lacquer finish.
Okay.
If somebody sprays paint, you can just wash it off with Windex. It's great.
Brush that on? Or
No,
spray
you
it
roll.
on?
Well, the graffiti guard is thick. It's like honey, so you roll it on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's very toxic. It's pure lacquer is what it is. So you roll it on. You don't want to spray it.
Right.
And it works because the murals in Poughkeepsie, they look like I painted them, a couple months ago, and they're 25 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but yes, so murals are my favorite because, like I said, they're actually part of the real world. They're
Right.
not just a little thing in a gallery or a
You don't have to
museum.
go in any doors to see them.
No, you don't have to pay an admission. And millions of people see your artwork. I mean, what else could be better than that?
A lot more than
Like
we'll
literally,
see any
literally millions.
indoor
Yeah,
art show.
Yeah.
Ransom, have you ever wanted to do murals? Have you done murals?
I've done murals, but
yeah.
I let
Oh,
Frank,
yeah.
the master, do murals.
Well, you do a lot of indoor murals. I've seen you have outdoor murals?
I've done an
Yeah,
outdoor mural
yeah.
before, but
Yeah.
nothing recently. It's
Yeah.
not being outdoors, working outdoors is not my cup of
Yeah,
tea.
no. I like your mural in the Poughkeepsie Library. That's a nice
okay.
one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was done in my studio, and then they scan it. And
Right.
And it's actually digital print, big, large
Right.
digital print. That's how I do murals. I do digital. I paint in my studio, and they make a digital print, and they glue it up on a wall.
And is it like wallpaper?
It's like a wallpaper, yeah. It's like a wallpaper,
Uh-huh.
a high-end wallpaper.
Huh.
Yeah.
Is it actual paper or is it like a
Some vinyl.
polytab? Or,
Vinyl.
Vinyl, yeah.
Vinyl.
Frank probably knows more about this than I do.
Yeah,
I literally paint it, I give it to them, and then they do everything else.
Yeah, it's a vinyl.
they shoot it and
They
create the
photograph it,
digital
exactly,
file.
Yeah,
Photo-
there's
photo
companies
murals.
that do those.
Yeah.
They work for a company. But yeah, that was a pleasure to do the one in the Poughkeepsie Library. It's something that we'd actually tried to do years ago before they renovated the library, and then we finally completed that. But I'm a on the wall canvas guy, and in a gallery. Galleries is my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff that hangs on a hook.
Yeah. But I try to create environments. Like I have a show now in Poughkeepsie, it's paintings and it's lamps, and the lamps represent home. And the idea, especially this time of the year when you travel around and you see homes when the sun starts going down, they have this orange or yellow glow coming out.
Right.
And that to me represents warmth, love, security. People, I mean, back in the day, a fireplace, the family was warm, and hopefully this joy and happiness happening in that household. So it's that same sort of feeling of that light is what I want to bring into the gallery to represent homes. So it's probably 16 portraits I have hanging in the space, and they're all lit by small lamps in the space. It's a small gallery.
Where is this?
Converter Gallery?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, in Poughkeepsie.
Right. The
Yeah.
conveyor?
Conveyor.
Conveyor.
Yeah, conveyor or.
How exciting. And when is that open soon?
Oh, it opened already. It opened.
I mean, the gallery's a couple of years old, right?
Yeah,
It's it's run by Suprina, the artist Suprina, and she's in the
She's
in the
amazing.
Dorsky show also.
yeah,
She's a
yeah.
sculptor.
Yeah. And she did an amazing video that's in the show. Her video, oh my God, it just blew me away. It's objects that are found in animals in the ocean. These birds, especially these birds, these plastic bottles, toothbrushes, and things like that are actually killing these animals. And she does this great film of just sort of panning down over the objects. The objects are painted in different colors. It's so moving because just when you think it's going to end, it continues.
Right.
And it continues. And then it continues.
Yes.
And then it sort of ends, and then it repeats again.
Yeah,
but
she's
it's-
amazing.
yeah.
She just amazing art. She does a lot of work on environmental themes and social justice themes.
Yes.
And it's always a treat to see her assemblages and stuff.
Yeah.
So you saw she sent a slide in. She submitted.
Yeah, and the video, you can send videos in. Videos were allowed. So
Okay.
she sent the video, and I saw the video.
And is that video going to be in the show?
The video's in the show, yes. It's
The
one
one
of
you
the three
just-
videos.
the one you
yes.
just described?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
one of the three videos.
I
yeah.
can't wait. I'm
Yeah.
so looking forward to tomorrow.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and thank you so much for selecting me. And
I could not select you.
I
The,
know.
the work was perfect.
I would have been on the phone. Like, hey, Ransom, what's going on?
No, but come on, the work. I mean, it really was the work. I mean, your take was one of those takes that I just did not expect.
Right.
Because we've talked about this earlier, and people have been listening know what your work was about. But it was really just a fresh idea on movement, on how these four topics literally move people.
Oh,
People, people fight over them. I mean, Roe versus Wade. I mean, come on, all my friends are disgusted about what's turned out and defeating that. And, but there's the other side who's cheering. So again, people are moved by
Right.
this, and that's what you so wonderfully pointed out. And that's something I didn't think of, about movement. So
Right.
that's the beauty of creators.
Right.
And that's what you're going to see at this show.
So we talked about this a little bit on the phone. I mean, you have an idea when you're putting a piece together. Frank, you have an idea when you're putting a piece together. And then somebody comes along and they have a completely different interpretation.
Sure.
What do you all think about that?
I think it's great. That's what makes art so interesting. It's not cut and dry. everybody's got their own opinion, and sometimes another person's idea of what my piece is about is better than the idea that I had. So that's fine.
Well, it's fun. It's a beautiful thing that you're open to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm working on a piece now, and what bothers me about the piece more than anything is people get it without asking me a question, and I wish and that's like it's too obvious. So I don't like it when it's too obvious.
So when it's too obvious, does that feel like it's illustration to you and not studio art?
I don't think this piece is illustration, but it's just I don't like when the conversation is short. I want the conversation to be long.
Right.
Ideally, I want you to be talking about the piece or something relates to the piece on your way home from the exhibit.
Right.
But when you said, they go, oh, okay, it's about right. Okay, over. Let's move on.
Right.
That to me is sort of disappointing. I want to go, no, it's about such and such. The other person goes, no, it's about blank. But,
Right.
And and then and then if I write something about the piece, this is what I saw in the piece, almost like Frank said. But and that's what I saw in the piece. But I don't like it when it's, this is a cell phone. We get all look at this is a cell phone. Okay, we know it's a cell phone.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Right. There, you remember that on PBS, I think it was Sister Wendy somebody, she was an art reviewer.
Yes. I have her book.
And and her slam was that it's real one look stuff
Yeah.
that didn't live on beyond that
Yes.
first look.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So do you often create pieces that you don't know what they're about?
I know what it's about. I don't take a side. I don't choose if it's good or bad what I'm painting. I want to stimulate conversation and dialogue around the subject. Most of my pieces are about my family. It's about, and most of the images what you see are going to be about Black Americans, African Americans in this world, in America. But the pieces should be universal so everyone can relate to what the subject is. So if I do a piece about the migration, Frank can relate to the fact that his ancestors migrated here. So we're
Right.
both talking about movement from one place to another place and what it's like to start over.
Right.
And how, I may talk about how African Americans were treated when they first migrated to the North. He may talk about how Italians were treated when they first migrated to the United States.
Right.
And
Well-
then the reasons why as well, which could be different, but it's a similarity in all those things.
And there you go, the movement and the different interpretations of all the art.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the last plug for the show.
Great.
Movement tomorrow, opening at 4 p.m. at the Dorsky Gallery in the grounds of SUNY New Paltz. And it's going to be open for another few months. So if you can't make it tomorrow, you can go online and figure out the hours.
We want to pack the place. We want the fire department to come in and go, you got to close this place down.
And speaking of hours, this hour is over. Thank you, Ransom, so much for being here. Thanks, Frank Palaia. Thanks, Joanne Gelb. And thanks to Jen Hammoud for being the engineer extraordinary. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Have a great Friday night and a fabulous weekend.
And Lauren.